Hi everyone, welcome to episode 6 of the Crafty Yarn Podcast. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Samantha.
We'll start off today with what we're wearing. So we're both wearing the Late Roses shawl by Nina of Nancy Said, using Shapier's Wanderlust as the main yarn, and that's in the colour Chicago. And then for the border yarn, that's Bendigo Woolen Mill's Alpine 8-ply in the colourway Pink Heath.
And our model today is wearing the Screwball ice cream shawl from the Delicious Crochet Shawls book by Lisa Cook. This is a shawl that I made quite a while ago using Stylecraft Batik.
We'll start off today with some finished objects. So my first finished object is my cable car gloves by Nina of Nancy Said. So I've had these languishing for a long time. I finished my cable car cowl, which matches these. Gosh, it must be a couple of months ago now.
It would be, yes.
And I've had these on the go since then, and I finally got around to finishing them. So they're using exactly the same yarns as this shawl, so the Shapier's Wanderlust and the Alpine 8-ply. And I am really happy with these. So I'll just pop one on. So they've got this gorgeous detail where there's a split cuff and then you sew a button on and you loop that through part of the cuff and it sort of closes it up, leaving a pretty gap. And I'm really happy with these. I like the fit, and I like that the thumb hole is a little bit longer than other gloves. Keeps your thumb a little bit warm. And yeah, I'm just really pleased to have these finished and so that I can wear them with the cowl if I wanted to. My next finished object is also a part of a matching set. So this is my Elements scarf, again by Nina of Nancy Said. And I've got a pair of Elements gloves and an Elements hat which match this. So this is the a pure wool 8-ply in a sort of chestnut brown colour. And I'll pop in a picture of the gloves and the hat that I've already made. So for this one, I had started making this pattern once before, but I ran out of yarn. And I had used the recommended hook size, which if I remember was about a 5 or a 5.5 millimeter. But for this one, I decided to size down to a 4mm hook to firstly make it a little bit narrower, not such a wide scarf. And also, I just wanted it to not be quite so loose and open. And even using the 4, it is, I think, plenty loose and open. And it's got a gorgeous picot edge. And I haven't blocked this, and I don't think I will, because I think that it's plenty long enough and I don't want it to grow any more widthwise or lengthwise. So I am absolutely thrilled to have this finished. It's nice to be able to have like a neutral set to wear.
I sadly only have one finished object. This was a single skein necklet. This is the second one that I've made. So this was using Cascade prints in this natural sort of colour with a slight peachy tone to it. And then it has a band to hold it together. The previous one I made had the little flowers on the bottom, but this one I decided to do something different, and I've used the stack stitch, which I'll put on the edge, which I think looks really cute. So I made this for my mum for Mother's Day, and she just loves it, so it was quite a success.
It's going to be a very versatile piece.
It will, yes.
And one thing that we did differently with that is we decided to make the band fully detachable so that you can like move it up or down depending on how sort of close you want it to finish around your neck.
Yes, the previous one, it was joined to the side of the scarf, so yeah, so this one you can move that up or down to make it tighter or looser. And also I used a 4.5mm hook on this one. Last time when I did mine I used a 4. There was no problems with it, it was fine, but I felt the stitches weren't quite as open as they could be, and it looks nicer I think with the slightly larger hook, and I have blocked it just to open it out more so you can really see the stitches, which I think looks great.
There's also quite a thin sock yarn, wasn't it?
The previous one, this one, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, it is quite thin, yeah.
So the 4.5 worked well with them.
It did, yeah, it worked really well. Yeah.
So I also thought that my single skein necklet was finished. So I got a bit carried away with this when I was making it, and I have just made it way too long. And when I finished it, I thought that it was going to be okay. I thought, oh, I'll just leave it. And when I blocked it, I was hoping to make it grow just a little bit widthways, but it's also grown lengthways, and now it is just far too long for me for what I like. So I'm just going to unpick the border and unpick it back a bit, and then put the border back on, just so that it's a more similar length to my original version. I also decided to put the stack stitch, which was from the Renegade scarf pattern, on the edge of mine, because I just think that it gives a pretty sort of simple edge.
And we do like a bubble.
We love a bubble. So I've already made the band, and I also made mine detachable, because I just thought, like, you know, if you're a bit colder, you might want it a bit higher up, and if you weren't as cold, you might want it a bit lower down. So I'm just going to try that on this version. If I don't like it, then I can always attach it at a later date. So I love this. This yarn is so beautiful, and whatever I have left over once I unpick that's going to go into my recovery shawl.
Yes. It is a really pretty colour.
It's gorgeous. I love the sort of little like flecks of like the cranberry in there. You probably won't be able to see it, but I don't know.
You know what actually would be nice if you had a contrasting border.
Well, that would be really pretty, actually. So my final finished project, I think, is my favourite thing that I have ever crocheted. And this is my Angel Wing Shawl by Beatrice Ryan Designs. And I absolutely love this. So the main yarn is Bendigo Woolen Mill's multicoloured 4-ply sock yarn in the colourway Pastel Dreams, which has unfortunately been discontinued. And then the edging is Bendigo Woolen Mill's Baby Merino 4-ply in the colourway Pink Clouds. And I'm just really, really happy with this. I think that the edging looks gorgeous, the sort of ruffles, and then the like pulp of the pink, because it's quite a different pink to any of the pinks in the actual shawl. And I'm just really, really pleased with it. And I am looking forward to starting the one that I'm going to do that's going to have the blue edging on it for you. I think this is going to be gorgeous.
Yeah. It's a really enjoyable pattern too, isn't it?
It is. Because like there's sort of like different sections that you like repeat, and they're really fun to do, and you just sort of want to get to the next section. So I am absolutely thrilled with this.
Oh, you should be. It's beautiful. The yarn is so pretty.
I think it's a perfect use for this yarn though, because after I had that problem with the sweater, I really wasn't sure what I was going to use the yarn for. But after the purple one that was in the same yarn, I think that this is perfect.
I agree. Our first crochet whip is our recovery shawl, which we've been working on for quite a few weeks now. So that's it there, from Inside Crochet 152. So this is mine here. It's growing quite large.
It's huge.
Yes. So I haven't made as much progress on it as last time. I've only done a few rows, so there's my stitch marker there, so I've only worked down to there. And currently I'm working using this pale grey, but we've actually run out of yarn really now. This here, the pink section, is a sock yarn that I've been using, but I don't want it to become just all of this pink yarn. I want a bit more variety. So once I finish using the grey, we're just going to put it away for a little while and wait till we have some more scraps to use up.
So this is mine here, nowhere near as big. And again, I've only made minimal progress, just from there down, so only a few rows. And I also have sort of run out of yarn, so I mean, I just don't want to ruin it now by just putting in, like, although it's a scrappy project, we still want it to be aesthetically pleasing, so
yeah.
It's a shame that we've got to put it away, but we're just going to, like, we've got a couple more things that will be coming up. Like, I'll have a little bit left over from my single skein necklet and a couple of other things, so we will have some new things put in.
My next project is one that I put away for a little while. It was my staff stitch glovelets, a pattern by Nancy Said. So I've actually finished the glove now. Before I was having trouble with the thumb hole, and I put it away because I was getting a little frustrated with it, and I was going to have to use a different hook, and it just all seemed a bit too much. But when I went back to pick the pattern up the other day, I realised that it was actually me that was making the mistake. For some reason, I had it in my head that the next step on the glove was the thumb hole, but the pattern part that I was reading was actually meant for the top. So now that I've sorted that out, the gloves actually come together quite nicely. I didn't have to change the hook size. The hook that I used for this project was a 5mm hook. I actually went up in hook size because my tension was quite tight. So this is the finished glove here, and that's the back. So I'm really, really excited with how it's come up now. So on the top of the glove, we've got the picot edging, and then you've got the same around the thumb hole, and then the bottom has the picot edging as well, and then in the middle you've got the star stitch, which I think it's just looking really lovely. It's come up really nicely. So the yarn I've been using is 100% wool from Spotlight in this magenta colour. So now that I've got that sorted out, it'll be easy to do the second glove. Well, hopefully I'll have to make sure that my tension's the same so I don't have another problem. Yes.
That yarn really shows off the stitch pattern though.
It does, it's really pretty.
So I didn't have very many whips to show you this that I've worked on this podcast, so I decided that I would bring out a couple that I'm wanting to get finished. So the first one is something that you guys haven't seen before, but I've had it on the go for quite a while. And this is my Dime Bar Cheesecake Cow, which is a pattern by Nina of Nancy Said. So that's it there. So it's designed to be quite like a wide cowl, probably more of like an infinity scarf maybe. And I'm making this for Mom. And I'm using this colour changing cotton cake. And it's got 5 colours in it, so it goes from the coral to the sort of beigey colour. And then I decided that for the second ball, instead of starting it with the coral again, I would start it from the beige, and then it will work back out and end on the coral. Which, when I use multiple balls of the colour changing yarn, that's generally the way that I prefer to do it, because I feel like it sort of works more cohesively.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm reasonably close to finishing this. Like, there's a star stitch row that I've done here, and there's one down there, so I'd say that I must probably have like 1 or 2 more of the repeats, and then that will be finished. So I don't have too much work left on that, and I'd really like to get that finished, because as I said, I've had it on the go for ages. So, and it's such a fun project to work on, you know, because you've got like the different stitches, like you've got a star stitch, which is the same one as on the gloves.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be really, really pretty.
Another project that we're working on together is the Sea Maiden Shawl by Nancy Said. So this is using a lace weight yarn, and my one is the Summer Nights Wildflower.
It's such a pretty colour.
It is, it's beautiful. So I've made a reasonable amount of progress on it. So my stitch marker was up there. I've done down to the bottom there. So I've done quite a few rows, but it's quite slow. I can't get 2 rows done a night. It's getting long to get around. But I'm really loving it. The pattern is really fun to do, and I think it's really, really starting to look good.
So this is mine here. So it's getting quite big now. So my progress keeper was here. So I've worked all of that. And I love working on this. Like it's such sort of like a delicate project, but it's still really, really fun to work on. And I can't wait to wear it. And I'm actually thinking that when I finish this one, I'd like to make another one in this same yarn, but in a different colorway. I think that would look really nice. And I think that for both of us, it'll be a good piece, because it's going to be a lot thinner than a lot of our other ones. So I think you'll be able to wear it more.
Yes. It is a really nice weight of shawl, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a nice size too.
Yes.
When it's finished.
And I enjoy working with this yarn too. It's nice.
It's gorgeous. And mine has got a gold fleck running through it, and yours has got silver.
Yeah.
So this is another project that I haven't actually worked on this past 3 weeks, but I would like to get it either very close to being finished or finished by the next podcast. So this is my Cherry Bakewell shawl from the Delicious Crochet Shawls book by Lisa Cook. And I showed this a couple of episodes ago, I think. So I haven't made a huge amount of progress on it yet. But I've made one of these before, so I know that once you sort of get into it, it does work up quite quickly. So the yarn that I'm using is the Lincraft Maker Organic Cotton, and I've got the cream as the main colour, and then I've got a navy and a lolly pink. So for this one, I'm actually using a 4.5mm hook, which is, I'm pretty sure it's half a hook size smaller. Yes, it's half a hook size smaller than is recommended, because I started off with the 5, but I just felt like it was working out really loosely in the cotton. So I decided to size down to the 4.5, and I'm really happy with the like feel of it now.
It is still quite open, isn't it?
Definitely, very open.
So it would have been too big with the 5.
I think so, because it does actually create quite a big shawl anyway. So I think that if it was any looser, it would just be huge. I think it'd be too big.
It's quite heavy in the cotton too.
It is.
The next project I've been working on is my Bobbly Beauty shawl, which is this one here. And it's from Simply Crocheted 124. So the yarn I've been using is from Bendigo Woolen Mills, Calypso yarn.
I love that yarn.
Pressed lavender is the colour. It is a beautiful yarn. It's a very unusual yarn. It's got very slubby sort of bits in it, but it's coming up really pretty, I think. So I have made a reasonable amount of progress. My stitch marker is there, and I've worked down to there. So I haven't quite got to the next row of bubbles, but it is actually, even though it doesn't look like a very big shawl, it's quite a long way around, because there's a lot of double crochets in there, so it takes a long time to get all the way around the shawl. But I'm loving it. I really enjoy working on it, and I am looking forward to getting it finished. It's
quite dense, I think, which is why you have so many.
That is true. It is actually very dense.
So my next project is something that I have started since the last podcast, and this is the Dotty Sweater by Stitchberry. So it's a free pattern, and so I've done one of the whole panels, and the back and the front are exactly the same, so this could be the back or the front. And I love this pattern so much. It's got these small bobbles sort of across the whole thing, and it makes almost like a diamond. I don't know how well that's showing up.
Yeah, you can see it there.
The yarn that I'm using for this is Bendigo Woolen Mills Bloom 8-ply in the colourway Sugar Plum, which I had already started a cardigan with this, but that didn't really work out for me. So I think that it looks really pretty in this pattern though.
It's beautiful.
And it's very addictive because you want to get to the next bobble row. So this worked up very, very quickly actually. So I'm making the size extra small, and I'm using a 4mm hook. So that is either the back or the front. And then I've made a small start on the next panel. So it's got the double crochet ribbing at the bottom, and I've just started going into the main body part of it. So all I have to do then is this panel and then the 2 sleeves, and then you sort of just like join it and work a little collar around the top. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be so nice to wear.
I've been working on my zippered raglan cardigan, which is this vintage pattern here. And the yarn I'm using is from Bendigo Woolen Mills. It's in their classic range, and the colour is Ensign. It's an 8-ply wool. And that's my yarn there. I've just started my second ball of yarn.
It's going very far.
It is actually, and I'm using a 4.5mm hook. So I've finished the entire back now, which I'm quite excited about. So last time I was just at the start of just before doing the increases, and I had to measure the length of the cardigan to see if I was ready to do the decreases. I got the exact measurement. So I was really thrilled because my tension is obviously spot on. So that was fantastic. And so since then I've done all of the decreases and the whole back's now finished. So I'll just move it a bit closer so you can see the pattern that it creates.
It's quite a funny shape, isn't it?
well, I've never made a cardigan like this before. It does look a strange shape, but because it's the raglan, it's going to somehow fit in there. But I really love this pattern. It's really enjoyable, and it's quite easy to follow. It's not very complex. The instructions are really clever. Well, they're really well written and easy to understand, and not too complex, which I really love. And I managed to do the decreases really easily without running into too much difficulty, because sometimes I tend to run into a bit of difficulty with things, but I'm really thrilled with it. And so next I'll be doing the front panel.
So our last crochet whip is our Charlotte's Universe blanket, and we haven't made a huge amount of progress since last time because we've been working on quite a few other things. However, we have made it into the square shape now. So this is mine. So as you can see, we've just like squared off those corners, and it's such a pretty pattern. I'm really pleased with it. However, I am having some colour choice regret. Well, not regret really, because I haven't done it yet, but I was going to use like a medium grey colour. But now I'm feeling like this is going to take so many hours and hours of work. And I really want it to pop and stand out. And I just feel like if you add a grey to this, you know, it's just not going to be like immediately stunning, if you know what I mean. So I think that I'm going to replace it with like a sapphire blue.
Yeah, I do agree.
It's just not, I don't think it's going to be quite the look that I'm going for. I think that in such a beautiful, intricate pattern, I think that I just want something that is going to stand out and be a little bit more...
You need a bit of impact.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I'm really pleased with it.
So this one's mine, in the blue and the charcoal grey. So it was actually quite interesting the way we worked from it being round to becoming square. And I think the corner detail is actually really, really beautiful.
You had to do like 13 chains.
Yes, it was quite. But it was just, I just had no idea how we were going to get from round to square. But it's worked out really nicely, and I'm really excited. I'm actually really excited to do the next row now.
I just wanted to quickly show you my knitting work in progress. So this is my vintage shawl collar cardigan from the patterns book 1224. So last time I had one front finished, but I've now finished my second front. So I've got all of my body pieces done, my back and my two fronts. And then I've started on the rib for the first sleeve. So I'm actually pretty close on this now. And I'm looking forward to finishing it because I want to wear it. And I just wanted to show you the buttons that I'm planning on using on this. So these are the ones that I've chosen. So they're like a fabric covered one, and they're sort of like white with purple,
sort of
yeah, flowers in them. And I thought that would go really well with the grey. So I'm really quite excited about that.
We were facing a bit of a hook shortage, and I like to have the hook in the bag with the project, and because when you're just swapping between multiple bags, I forget what I'm doing and I lose my hook, and so I decided that we would get some more crochet hooks. We've made some of these before, and I decided that we'd do them again. So we got just the normal, just ordinary metal crochet hook, and then we had some polymer clay that we got from Lincraft that we'd use for our other ones, and we covered them with the polymer clay. So that's one of them, and that's my other one. So I made that one a thicker one, and then that one's thinner. So I've just used the purple and the black, and you just roll the polymer clay, and then you cut it into slices and lay it on the crochet hook, and then you bake it in the oven. It's a really fun process, and it just makes a boring crochet hook look amazing. So, and it cost hardly anything because we got the metal crochet hooks really cheap, and then we already had the polymer clay. So yeah.
So these are mine. I've got like a turquoise blue and then a white. So we were planning on doing like 5, but we ran out of clay. So we've ordered some different colours, so hopefully we'll get around to doing those soon. We just wanted to show you our entries into the Dodgy Bag MAL 2023 by Ali of Starry Eyes Ali and Claudia of Crochet Luna. I had planned on making a different bag to what I made, but I just ran out of time, so we ended up both making the same bag, which is the Drawstring Project Bag by Whitney Sews. So this is mine here. So it's in this gorgeous, like, bright and colourful, like...
It's a chintz, cotton chintz.
And then a purple sort of floral cotton, and it's got the same purple lining on the inside. And then I've just got this white ribbon in the drawstring. So when you draw it up, you can use the handles, and it's just like that. And I'm really thrilled with this. I just love it, and it's just such a fun print. I'm thrilled with it.
It's a good make too. I enjoy making this project bag. So for mine, I decided to use this blue floral print, and then I've got the pink or 2 shades of pink spot up the top. But the hot pink ribbon is the cord.
I love that colour combination.
I'm absolutely thrilled with it. It's come up better than I imagined, actually. It's really, really pretty. So with the Dodgy Bag MAL, it's just about making a bag, and it doesn't really matter whether it's dodgy or not. Now, I am quite a perfectionist, and I don't like things that are dodgy, but I decided to embrace my inner dodginess, and when I cut out my pieces for the lining, I accidentally cut one the wrong way. So on the inside, and it's really not very noticeable, but the spots are not running the same way. But I decided, in the spirit of the Dodgy Bag MAL, I would continue on and use something that wasn't right.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Recently, Lincraft, which is where we buy some of our yarn from, had a half-price sale, which was fantastic, and we decided to treat ourselves to a couple of skeins of yarn. So I got this one here, which is a 4-ply yarn. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but it was just such a pretty yarn, and it was such a good price. So it's 80% merino wool and 20% nylon, and it's 375 meters. So it's a really gorgeous yarn. Just have to decide on a project.
So I also got a skein of the same yarn in the same colour, which is the colourway's Purple Mix. And my plan for this is another single skein necklet, because I just love them. And they're really good because they seem to go with a lot of things. They're really easy to just put on and wear. There's no like fiddling around with it like a shawl.
Yes, trying to get it sitting properly.
Yes, so I really love the single skein necklet, so I'm gonna make another one of those, because I feel like these colours would fit in really nicely with my wardrobe. They're possibly quite similar in, you know, like the purple and the black to the original single skein necklet that I made, but I think the hot pink is gorgeous. And then I saw this other yarn on there, and we weren't really sure what it was going to be like, so you decided not to get any.
Yeah, I did.
So this is the Cleckheaton Brush Strokes Hand Dyed 5-ply, and it's 50% super soft nylon and 50% acrylic, and it's 128 meters to 50 grams.
I am regretting my decision now, though, because it's a really soft yarn.
It's
really beautiful.
Well, next time I have a sale, I'll have to get it.
Yes, I will.
So I, again, bought 2 skeins of that, and I know that it's a 5-ply, not a 4-ply, but I'm still thinking that a single skein necklet, because
it wouldn't matter.
No, it's just only 1 ply. I mean, how much difference is it gonna make? So I think that those colours are just so bright and fun, and I think it'd go really well with like black or grey. And so
really pretty.
I have plans for many more single skein necklets. So that's all of the crafty content that we have for you today. So thank you for watching.
Until next time, happy crafting. So it's 80% merino wool and 20% nylon. Oh, dear me.